So we are fresh off the September Apple event. We've got new iPhones, we've got new Apple Watches, and we have new AirPods Pro. And that's only 3 things, but there's actually quite a lot to talk about here. And we're gonna go do that. I'm Phil Nickinson with Digital Trends, and before we actually get into the meat of the whole thing, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, you know all that stuff, right? All right, deep breath, here we go. So first we have the Apple Watch Series 8 and a new Apple Watch SE. Now, these are, for all intents and purposes, updated Apple Watches, all right? They look a little better, they're gonna run a little longer, that's a good thing. They're still Apple Watches. The software is getting an update in these as well. The big feature that you're only going to get with these updated models is temperature tracking. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, your core temperature is important. It's why they've been sticking thermometers in your butt since you were a baby, right? It's also important to adults too for just overall health, and specifically for women, especially when it comes to cycle tracking. Temperature is a really big deal. So it's cool to see this in the Apple Watch now. Now, along with more data comes more privacy concerns, right? Apple addressed that too. The big thing is it stays with you. It stays on your devices. Apple can't even access it. I guess maybe that just means the subpoena is coming to you and not to Apple, but fine. The point is, it's your data, you get to keep it. More new features. So crash detection in and of itself is not new, but it's gotten better, it's been improved. And there's a new low power mode. Apple says you can actually go a full day and a half on the Apple Watch now, which, okay, that's not that long, that's not that impressive. You're probably still gonna end up charging this thing every day. And if you don't want every new feature from the Apple Watch Series 8, yes, there's a new updated SE. They lop out some of the features, some of the specs. We're used to that, right? But they also lop off some of the price. So speaking of price, okay, the Apple Watch Series 8 starts at $400. Again, that'll change depending on some of the specs and the bands and all that stuff, right? The new Apple Watch SE, $250. We're not done with watches though. Yes, there is a new Apple Watch Ultra, which you have to say all funny like that, otherwise it's just not Ultra, right? This is kind of literally and figuratively a big deal. It is a completely new design of Apple Watch. So the big question on the Apple Watch Ultra is, who is it for? Well, if you're the sort of person who likes to spend days at a time in the wilderness in the middle of nowhere, if you're the sort of person who likes to run triathlons, you don't just run, you bike and swim. You do triathlon. You are a triathlete. Ultra marathoners, super serious athletes. Or if you're the sort of person who dives, it's for divers, apparently. Or if you go into space, if you're going to the moon, it's not for astronauts, no. But the point is, there's a bunch of like dedicated stuff in this that you would traditionally find in a more mission-specific device. I'm trying not to say competitive names like Garmin, but I don't care, I'm gonna say it anyway. So Apple's building this into the Apple Watch Ultra with the idea that it's gonna be for people like that. Now, that's where the battery life is gonna come back into play again, right? They're still kind of saying a day and a half, 36 hours, that's a lot of hours, but you're still gonna have to worry about charging it while you're on the go. Is anyone gonna buy this for those really mission critical instances? I don't know, we're gonna have to find out. It does, however, have a new button in addition to new, straps and other design stuff, a whole new button. So you can like make it do dedicated things with that new button. Does that mean like this is the watch to rule them all? No, it doesn't, probably not, almost certainly not. So the price, you would think for a dedicated brand new device like this, Apple would jack up the price a little bit, right? We were all kind of thinking like $1,000 minimum, $1,200, $1,500 wouldn't be out of the question. Actually, no, it starts at $800. Now look, that is absolutely not cheap. Especially since it's unproven. We don't know how it's gonna work in the middle of nowhere, but that could be worse, right? Was really expecting more expensive watch. Now, the AirPods Pro. These are probably the easiest devices of the new batch today. They look almost exactly like the old AirPods Pro, but there's a lot in here that's new and good and important. There is a new driver in there, so bass is supposed to sound better. They're calling it a low distortion driver, which is good. Nobody wants a high distortion driver, but whatever. So it's gonna sound better. Active noise cancellation, they say, is 2x better. That's 2 X's, not just 1 X, 2. Transparency mode is now more adaptive, so When you're still hearing things going on around you, they're gonna adjust the volume and just the way it sounds and all that stuff. That's good, that's important. The little stems now have a capacitive touch on them, so you can change the volume right there just by swiping your thumb or your finger or whatever. That's cool. And probably the biggest news on the audio front is that spatial audio will now use the front-facing true depth camera on your iPhone to actually adjust the way things sound. Spatial audio, if you've never used it before, it's like 360-degree audio. Instead of just coming from the left or from the right, it's coming from all directions, all around you, and it has head tracking. And so as you move, the music moves, and it can be a little disorienting, but it's kind of cool. But anyway, it's supposed to be better now with this personalization effect built in. Probably the biggest change for the AirPods Pro, though, is in the case. So it still charges wirelessly, or you can still plug it in, that's fine. Except now it also uses MagSafe charging for any of your Apple MagSafe products, or you can charge it with an Apple Watch charger. That's cool. Still uses Qi charging as well though, so really charging is just getting better. So the bigger deal actually, I think, is with the addition of the Find My feature. So you're now gonna be able to use your phone or your tablet or whatever. If you're missing your AirPods case, and this happens all the time around here, you're gonna be able to use your phone or device or whatever to actually get within inches of it. That's really cool. But if that's not enough, they've built a speaker into the bottom of the case itself. So instead of just relying on the earbuds inside to hopefully make a noise, the case will make a louder noise to help you find it that much quicker. Very nice. And okay, I lied. Here's the most important part of the new AirPods Pro case. You can now put a lanyard on it. You're welcome. Price, by the way, still $250. That's retail, so we've already seen the first generation drop down to like 175 or so on sale. Hopefully we'll see these go on sale at some point too. And finally, the iPhone 14. This is where I'm probably getting ready to spend some money. I know you are too, right? So we now have 3 flavors of iPhone 14, and the names have changed a little bit, so pay attention here. We've got the iPhone 14, and instead of the 14 Max, we've got the 14 Plus. It's a 14 plus more. Look, these are the meat and potatoes iPhones, okay? They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination. A15 Bionic chip. There's a new photonic engine that does all sort of photonic engine-y thing. It's what controls the camera, okay? They had to give it a silly name. And they've changed how the camera does some stuff. This is not uncommon for phones, all right? Manufacturers have been doing this since the dawn of time, or at least the dawn of smartphones. The point is, it's gonna let in more light, and that's cool. You want your phone to be able to let in more light because it allows it to just work better, especially when you're taking pictures in lower light. So that's a good thing. And this is kind of cool. You've probably seen the rumors. If you're using your iPhone 14 in the middle of nowhere and it doesn't have a cellular connection and you're about to die, it can actually talk to satellites to send out an emergency message. That's cool. Now, this is not a satellite phone. You're not gonna be able to use this on a ship in the middle of the ocean and call somebody. But if you're stranded on a ship in the middle of the ocean, you can send a text to somebody and get help. Maybe, unless that person's the one who stranded you there, in which case you're screwed, but whatever. The point is, satellite emergency communications. That's very cool. Now, something else you're gonna see, and if you haven't used this already in the betas, you're gonna love this. iOS 16 is also coming to the iPhone 14, of course, so get used to a new lock screen, right? It's gonna look a little different, and that's because you can customize it. You can customize the fonts, you can change up the pictures so it rotates on an hourly basis, very cool. You can put widgets on there, so that's why it looks different in the iPhone 14, but any other device that can get the iOS 16 update, you got that coming too. Very cool. So all that said, kind of standard iPhone-y upgrade stuff, right? Here's the big deal. The iPhone 14 Pro, not regular, not Max, Max is gone, not Plus, this one is Pro. And honestly, that's probably the right name for this. First, yes, it's going to be more expensive. We'll get into that in a second. But really, this is the big daddy. So Pro as in, are you a professional photographer who instead of using a professional camera like I am now, want to try to do everything on your phone? That's what this one is for. So they are ramping up the photography with a 48 megapixel camera on the back. The front camera has been improved too as well. And it actually has a cool little like pill-shaped cutout in the screen now. They are calling this, are you ready for it? The Dynamic Island. What does that mean? That means they're actually gonna use the cutout there on the screen in conjunction with some of the software to show you things like updates and alerts and notifications and stuff. It actually looks really cool. It's probably gonna be pretty seamless, and there's a little bit of that in iOS 16 anyway, but it's gonna work even better on the iPhone 14 Pro because of the way that cutout looks. It's a really silly name for what I think is gonna be a really cool feature. Back to the cameras again, because there's still more to say. Again, it's a Pro device. That 48 megapixel sensor allows you to do things like go up to 3x zoom, not 1, not 2, but 3. So you're gonna be able to zoom in closer than ever before and still have the picture look pretty good. That is super cool. And that's in addition to all sorts of other just nerdy computational, photographic, dynamic, engine-y things that Apple's tossing in there. Pictures are gonna look pretty awesome. So the big question is, are you gonna need all that? Are you going to need the Pro iPhone? I can't answer that for you, all right? It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be really good. It's also gonna be more expensive, so let's get into that. The regular iPhone 14 starts at $800. The iPhone 14 Plus starts at $900. That's for the base storage. If you're gonna be like me and taking a lot of pictures, at least bump up to the middle and it's gonna cost more. Now the iPhone 14 Pro, here we go. Now the iPhone 14 Pro starts at $1,000. That is for the base level storage of 128 gigabytes, which ain't nothing, right? That's more than it used to be. But you gotta remember, it's got a 48 megapixel camera. That thing's gonna eat up the storage a lot quicker. So think about at least 512. Yes, it's gonna cost more, but do the math on that. Nobody has ever wished they didn't have more storage. But all that said, good phones across the board, right? iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Plus, and the new iPhone 14 Pro, which is gonna be a beast. I'm gonna get it. That is it for now. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video, hit the thumbs up thingy, hit the notification bell so you see the next video from Digital Trends. That's it, see you next time.